I can go directly to a location if I know the address or if I know the name of it, if it's a landmark. So if I want to go directly someplace, I can type it in, the enter a location, and then hit go, and it will bring me to it. I also have the option just to scroll on the map using the mouse, and I can click on whatever my location I want. So I have two ways I can enter my, what they call waypoints, your start point and your end point, and anything you want to have in the middle as well. So there's a couple options underneath that. You can click follow roads. And what this will do is if I click on a point and then, so if I click here and I want to start my ride in Union Square. So let's say I want to start my ride right here. I click my first point. Now I have it set to follow roads. So I click my first point right where I want to start. And if I really want to pinpoint it in, I can zoom in on the map here as well. And I can get exactly where I'm at. So I'm East 17th Street, fine. Now, let's say that my trip today wanted to take me to somewhere on the west side. So what I can do is zoom out, and let's say I want to go to Javits Center. All right. So what I can do is scroll until I see the Javits Center, and I can zoom in because, you know, I want to get right to the front door here. All right. So we're going to click right there. That's our endpoint. Now, since we chose follow roads, what's going to happen is RideWithGPS is going to decide the best route that it thinks we want to take. So now that it has decided, I'm going to take a look at it as the supervisor, and I'm going to say, do I agree with this decision that you have made? If I don't, we can change it. So let's see. So let's start at the beginning. Let's zoom out, and we can bring our map up using the mouse controls. Let's click and hold it, and you can move the map, and then you can scroll in by using the scroll wheel. So it has us starting here and going down East 17th Street. All right, that's okay. Let's take a look. Now I want to see, is East 17th Street busy? I can take this little guy here, just like on Google Maps, and I can say, let's say, that looks okay. I see a bike lane. Great. Okay, so this is the Google Street View. You can use this to kind of spot check your route and see if the roads are good, or if it's something that maybe is a little sketchy. Maybe it's cobblestones. Maybe it's a lot of traffic, whatever it might be. So I can back out of that, and I can unzoom, and I can just continue to spot check along the route here, and I can say, okay, it's going to take me up 8th Avenue. Okay, I guess that's maybe okay. Now let's say I didn't want to go up 8th. Maybe I want to go a different way. I can take anything along the route, anything that I find I don't like, click and hold, and I can drag that any place else, and it's going to say, okay, maybe you want to go this way, and it's going to give me some different routes I can take. Now, if you can see, it's moving the whole route around. All right, when I do that, it's just kind of deciding the next best spot that I want to be. Now, that's all fine and good. Let's say we want to, instead of 8th Avenue, we want to go up 10th for some reason. All right, we've changed our route. And now, if you can see, the cue sheet changed as well. So everything kind of updates in real time. Now that we've done that, we've changed a big route like that. What happens is it leaves this little circle. This is a control point. Every time you make a change on the map, that drops one of those control points. The funny thing about those is you can't move past them. So if I drag the map, it's never going to move anything on the red side of that control point. So you can use these in different ways. There, see, I made another change, it dropped another one. But now look what I can do. Sorry. I can just make my map move between two given control points. So if I want to theoretically ride off of 10th Avenue for a couple blocks, I can put a couple control points in between the area I want to move, and then I can move right between that. It won't change the rest of the route. Now, the other thing is now we have 3 control points here. If we want to move the whole map again, we can't because they're there. They're not going to move. So we have an option for that. We can go to Add Remove Control Point. We can click on that, and then just click on our control points and it will erase them. So we get to move the map just like we did before where it moves the whole route around. So now if I go ahead and move it, since there's no control points, it's going to just move the entire line. So we're not going to get that place where it doesn't move anymore. All right, so that's your basic how to make a route using the following roads feature. You can also use draw lines, and draw lines literally just makes straight lines. So if you're in an area without any landmarks, maybe you're in a big field or something like that, and you want to get across, it's not really useful for city use because, as you can see, we can't cut across blocks. It's not going to work. So now that I made this mistake on my map, we can't just leave it like that anymore. So what we can do is we can come down to the bottom of the screen and we can go ahead and hit undo. And what that'll do is just erase the last change that I made, just like in any other software. So now we're back to where we started. We're back on the right directions. The other thing I want to point out is on the main screen, if you can see at the bottom here, this is an elevation chart. So, and if you can see, you can spot check the route. So if for some reason there was a big hill on this route, which in Lower Manhattan, not very likely. If there was a big hill, we can say, let's say the hill was right here. I can put the line right on the hill. And if you look up on the map, there's a blue dot that's moving as I move this. It's about just south of West 22nd Street. That is going to point out exactly where on the map that elevation correlates to. So it's pretty helpful if you, if you make a route and you see a big hill on it, it's kind of helpful because you can kind of see where on the map that big hill is, and you can route around that side using control points, but you can keep the rest of your route. Alan, do we have any questions before we move on to the next thing?
We do actually, and I don't know if you want to answer it now or later, but there's a question on if you can show how we get access to the club account, and people are also asking, do leaders get access to this or do members get access to this? And I think what I answered is there's a free version which has been pointed out has very limited functionality. There's a club capability, and you'll explain it, and then there's fee-based if you want full access. Go ahead.
That's right. So this is actually, I made an account. This is a made-up account. This is the free version. So this is the lowest version that's available. And I did that just to kind of, I don't want to pull any punches on anyone, show you all these amazing things, and then you get home and have the unpaid version and find out that you can't do it. So what'll happen is if I try to do something on this version that's not available, it's going to tell me, oh, sorry about that. I do own the premium version because I use this software a lot to make all my own maps and everything. And I highly recommend if it turns out to be something that you use a lot, there are some pretty awesome features that you can get access to that really make things a lot quicker and easier to do and add some pretty valuable features. But if you're just making basic routes, or if you think you're going to use it a couple times a year, or if you're just mostly going to use it to follow routes other people make, you don't need to pay for it at all. You don't really lose anything.
You'll show them later how to access the club account, and
I will. Yep.
Okay, good.
I definitely. That's actually one of. I have one more thing to go through here, and then I was going to go how to link them, and we'll show you some other stuff there. So, yes, we made our route here. Now that this route is made, let's say that this is good and it's complete. It's exactly where we want to be. Now we can save this route. So we can go ahead and click save. It's going to ask us what we want to name it. We can name it To the Javits, and I'm going to spell this wrong, I think. So we'll name it that just so we can find it later. You can add a description if you want to, and then you can decide if you want to make it as a public route or a private route or your friends only. Public means that anyone who's on RideWithGPS can search for your, if they search for any keywords or any location that you are, your route will come up. Private is pretty self-explanatory. It's just you. Anyone, it's just you. And then friends only is anyone that's on your friends list. So you can decide who's on your friends list. So you have the option of who gets to see the route. So, and then you can save. Boom, it's here. It's in our routes. So we can have, we can share it with someone. We can send it to our device, or we can view it. So we're going to view it, and that's going to bring us back to our original viewing screen, our home screen here. And then once we're in the viewing mode, there's a couple other options I'll show you. These are available in the other mode as well, where we use the designs, the editing mode. So up here in the corner is your default is RideWithGPS, their mapping software. But you have the choice. You can use Google Maps or Apple Maps if you're on an Apple computer. You can use a terrain map, which kind of gives you like an overlay of where the hills are. Obviously, not a lot of hills here. You can use a satellite map, which is basically Google Maps, and or the hybrid, which is this with the information names. And then you have a couple other options, so some topographical maps and such. And then within these, you have your settings. So you can decide if you want to see your points of interest. I always try to see where the bike paths are. This will highlight all the bike lanes in green, so I can decide which streets I want to take, which is pretty nice. I should have showed that one earlier, but I didn't remember it was there, to be honest with you. I always have it on. So that'll show you all the bike paths and the bike lanes and wherever they are. It also shows like bike trails, and most rail trails are on there as well. So if we zoom out, you can see you get a nice seamless map of everywhere. So even some other places in here, out in Jersey, you'll see that there's some rail trails as well. Yes?
Question is, does it work with Android as well as iPhone?
It does. It does. There's an app for both. I must admit, I am not very familiar with the app. I don't use it. I use a head unit on my bike, so I'm not going to pretend that I'm the expert at the app. But from what I understand, it's pretty easy to use. It is a little limited with the unpaid version. From what I understand, you can't get it to do the turn-by-turn directions audibly, I don't think. But it is available. You get most of the features. So that's that. So anyway, so that's a couple options here with the maps that you can do. And again, just like we did in the planning phase, I can still use the street view. So if I want to see something, like I want to see what this intersection looks like on 8th Ave, then I can say, oh, okay, yeah. There's the intersection. And yep, okay, still busy. All right, we can do that. And we can get to the street view and see what we're looking at. But that's pretty much that. So now we'll get to how to add in the club account. So to find that's a little bit tricky. So you're going to go ahead and hit this bike up in the corner. That's going to bring us back to our home screen here. Then what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down to the bottom of the screen. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to click on organizations. And we're going to click right here on cycling clubs where it says learn more. And you're going to click on get started. They added a bunch of steps. Now, since we're not making our own new account, we're going to search for an existing club. All right. So now that we're here, what we're going to do is we're going to put up in the keywords, we're going to spell out FIVE, F-I-V-E, and Fibro Bike Club comes right up. So what we can do then is click on the name or the picture. And what we're going to be brought to is the Fibro Bike Club's homepage. And I'm already a member, but if you're not a member, I'm pretty sure there's a button right here that says join, ask to join. And you can do that. Or you can contact the link that's here if there's any problems with that, and they will help you out. I'm already a member, so I can show you what it looks like. We're into the page now. So this is what you'll get as the home page if you're a member. And then what you can do is you can go here to Route Library. Click on that. And what that'll happen is you'll get all the routes that are saved. And obviously there's a lot more than these. They scroll all the way down. There's a bunch of routes in there. So I think they're organized alphabetically, maybe not actually. But what you can do is you can search them. So we can type in a search name. And some of them are already going to come up because they're what people have searched for. So let's see, let's try beach. Let's see how many beach rides. There's one, Prospect Park to Long Beach. So if you highlight over the name of this, you'll get a little preview, a little thumbnail of the route. It'll give you at the bottom the distance, the elevation of the route, and the elevation you're going to go back down. So it gives you kind of a little snapshot of what the route is. And again, you can get that all right here as well, except for the picture. So it's only one ride with beaches, so let's get out of that. Maybe we'll just scroll down and take a look. Any one of these names you can lay over and it'll do the same thing to show you kind of a snapshot of the ride. So let's pick a ride. Let's pick the 5 Towns 2015 ride. That looks good. All right. That's going to bring us, just like when we made our own ride, that brings us to the ride page, the whole, the regular home page. Now from here, this gives us a better view of the elevation chart. So now you can see we got some elevation on this ride a little bit, most in Prospect Park, it looks like. So the chart looks really ominous, but let's take a closer look at what it means. Down here is 0 elevation, so basically sea level. Now this hill, this first one looks huge, but if you look here, you can scroll over any point of it, and it gives you the height of the hill, 157 feet, which we're starting on the top of. Now, this looks pretty steep, doesn't it? Let's see, 2.6 degrees. It'll tell you as you scroll down how steep the climb is or how steep the drop is. So you can get an idea of that that's a hill you want to do or if it's one you want to route around. And if you can see on the top of the map, there's a yellow dot that's moving. That corresponds to where on the ride this elevation is. So you can see where the hills are. So if I see there's like a little bit of a hill here, about 35 feet. Let's see what that is. That's right here. Right here. So let's zoom in here. Let's see what we got. That's a little bit of a hill. Okay, so if I didn't want to do it, I'd find another way around. But at least gives you an option of at least looking at that, kind of seeing the lay of the land, so to speak. So we can zoom back out on that. And again, anytime we can change the map style to whatever we want, we can add a terrain overlay, and this will show us where some of the hills are. And we
So
can add,
maybe there's a question that I think would be good to answer for everybody.
Yeah.
If you're in your own account, if you have your own account, paid versus unpaid, the access to all of this stuff is separate or it's somehow integrated. You're in your account, you could still use the club account, right? Or you're switching it.
Yes. I'm just basically visiting a club ride right now. See, the author of the ride is a 5-borough bike club, but if I go up to any one of these options, so if I go back to the home page, it's going to bring me back to my home page.
But can you copy, can you copy from this one as a starting point to make your own ride or no?
Oh, you can download this right to your rides. Yep, I can show you that. So you can do this. You can say this. Go to the more right here, the more options. And you can do this. You can export it as a file if you want to take it off and put it on your head unit, or you can send a device. You can print a Q sheet out. Print map and Q PDF. That's a little bit nicer layout Q sheet, and that's only with the paid option. But you can print out just a standard page Q sheet for free. That just gives you the document, and you can either save it to the computer or you can print it right out. Let's go back to the ride. Now the option we were going to use is copy to my routes. So what that does is if we hit that, we can copy it to our own, we can make it basically a route of ours. We can copy it and make it our own route. So then we can alter it and change it however we want. Did that answer your question?
I think it did. The only other question this raises is if you can go back and show, so you can also copy it into the route planner, and then you have it with all of its fundamental elements so you can start to play, or it just becomes a copy and you have to trace it. Do you know what I mean in terms of being able to work with it?
No, let's do it. Let's do it right now. We'll show you exactly what it looks like. So this right here, we're going to name it 5 Towns 2015 copy so we know which one it is. I just made it public so we can find it easy. And copy to my routes. Okay, now I can go to view my copy right here. Or there's actually an option just to go directly to the route editor. But here it is, we're in our account. See, there's my name now. And now I can hit edit. And I have all the information. I have the full Q sheet. I can do anything I want to this route. I see every planning detail they made here. Every Q turn, every turn, everything. You can see it all. So now I can change this too. If I wanted to do that, I can say, whatever, I want to go this way instead. And now I can save it and it's mine. It'll ask me when I go to save, it'll ask me if I want to update the existing one or if I want to save this as a new route. So I'm going to say, save this as a new route, and I'm going to call it 5 Towns 15 new turn. Let's say that so we can tell it apart. So in all essence, this is my route. I can do anything I want with this that I would have done with anything I created. So this, that's answers it.
Yes, thank you.
All right, and then it gives me the same options just as if it was a new route that I made. So that's that. And then the other thing I was going to show you is, let's get out of the route editor. Let's go back out of this and go back to, all right, let's do that. All right, let's go to view route. Okay, so we're back in our own screen here now. This is our new version of this, but we can use it just the same. What I was going to show you is what's over here. So this is your little snapshot of the route here. It gives you the mileage, the gain in elevation, and the loss in elevation. So you can see we made a circle. The number should be the same. And then it tells you this 3.6 is the maximum hill gradient, and then the maximum basically downhill, and how steep it is on the hills. So it gives you an idea of what you're up against. And since we haven't ridden it yet, there's no time on it. Once you ride it, you'll get a time. And then basically every time you ride this route again, if you decided to make this a route that you like to do every weekend, you'll get the splits. You'll get like, oh, you did better than last week, less than last week. You can see, you can get your times in your history. You'll see it in the rides. So it's kind of neat. You can kind of push yourself a little, or just kind of, if you want to stay at, if you're trying to keep the same pace, you can kind of make sure that you're on track.
So Chris, you brought this map in, and I noticed, and someone asked about this, that it's not showing the bike paths anymore. Is there a way to turn that feature on now that you've brought it over? It's just
not on this map, there isn't. So to get the bike paths, we have to go to the standard Google map and bike paths.
So it's still the same map, but you just
it's still the same map. You can change the map in the background. It knows where the streets are, so it's going to overlay your route no matter what map is up here.
Cool.
So you can decide which one your favorite is, and it'll kind of keep that as your setting. So.
So if we brought in this route from 2015, and you're looking at it and you go, why didn't they use this? Oh, this may be a more recent bike path, so then you could tweak it and take advantage of it. I got it.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So, and then you can zoom in anywhere, and I added you can turn this on in the settings. I like to leave the mile markers on so I can see exactly kind of the direction of the ride. So sometimes some rides like this are a little confusing. So I like to see, okay, this goes straight across because I can follow the mileage. There are arrows you can follow on there too, but you got to zoom in for them. So this just gives me a big picture of kind of the path of the route.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. So that is that. And then let's see, what else can we do from here? Let's go back to the route editor, and I'll show you some other features on there.
Now, at some point, you're going to walk through the process of how to create one of those printed cue sheets. Are you going to do the other type of cue sheet, or you're not? Where you go to that other website?
Yeah, I can do that. I have I have the website.
You'll do it later.
Yeah, we can do that at the end. I'll show you the transposal there.
Also, there's a question of whether you can locate things like bike shops or coffee shops or bathroom stops like via Google Maps at all?
Yeah, so I can change this to, yeah, I'll show you that in a second. Let's do this. I want to clear this map. So this is the route that we had in there last. This is the route that I downloaded, 5 turns. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear the map here. So this is going to give me a fresh start with no route on it. This is just a bare map. So right now it defaults to RideWithGPS because this is not my usual account, so I haven't set up anything on here. But let's put it back to Google Map. And I can turn on the bike paths. You get different options in the planning screen with the Google Maps. Like you shows all the restaurants and coffee shops just like it would in regular Google Maps. And you can search for them if you in the enter a location. If I put in I don't know, I can put in Red Rooster. Let's see, I'm trying to think of something. There's only one of them. So Red Rooster is here. Yep, it knows exactly where it is. And it gives me the option to start my route there. So it's pretty good. It's a pretty good algorithm. I didn't even have to put what city it was in. It just it finds the nearest one, I'm almost certain. But it's pretty good. It's not too bad. So if you know like the name of a restaurant you want to start at or where you want to end at, you can put it in there I can put Red Rooster. That's it. I want to make this my start location. Now, if I know I want to meet my buddies at a different restaurant, Angel of Harlem, I can put in Angel of Harlem and it'll jump right to that location. So it'll give me a route directly to where I want to go. I don't even have to deal with like finding where it is near at the end. It just brings you to the front door. So it's very convenient. What else? We can do that. The other thing I was going to show you is you can jump to home. You can set a home in the settings. Right now, I didn't put a home. I just put New York, New York as the home, so it brings me to City Hall. But you know, if you're going to start your route at home all the time, you can hit jump to home, and it'll jump you right to there. You don't have to find it every time on the map. With that being said, a lot of people are a little sensitive of the privacy of where they live, and if you make your routes public, it doesn't take a lot of brains to figure out where the most common place you start and end your rides are. So for people who prefer to keep that a little bit private, you can go into your settings, which is up here on this little icon at the corner. You can go into your settings. Yeah, we're going to leave that, so we have to leave that. And then we can go to privacy zones. And you can add as big or small a circle around your home as you want. So basically, when you start your rides, the ride will show starting here, or wherever you exit the circle. That's where your ride is going to start. Your mileage and stuff will stay the same, but on your private stuff. But like what'll show on the map, will show on a public search is starting and ending wherever you hit the edge of the circle. So you can set yourself in whatever size zone you want. You can click it around or whatever you need to do to like move the marker. Here it is, radius. So I could have, whatever, the extra large I think is probably huge, but it's up to you. They give you the option. So yeah, you can make it as big or as little as you need. So it's a nice option. A lot of people prefer it. They don't want everybody seeing exactly where they live. New York City, I mean, I live in a big, apartment building, so it's not such a big concern to me, but if you lived in a, in a smaller building or by, in a single building, obviously, well, some people just like the privacy.
So your mansion out on Long Island, you put a red zone.
Yeah, you'd put the big zone. That's right. No visitors, please. But then you can create your privacy zone. So you'll be, like I said, no one can see inside of it. So you can do that. You can here's where you can set your preferences and change your profile and your location. This is where you put your home location. So I just put the city in there, so that's why it comes up for City Hall. But you can have your option to put your address or whatever you want in there. So that's that. And we're back to our home page here, and you can see
there's all the
routes we made.
Sorry, question if you can insert photos into your route map, for example, views, interesting store display, etc.
So I don't think you can do that. Let's try it. I don't think you can do it with the unpaid version.
With the paid version, you can insert pictures.
I don't think you can insert pictures, but I think what'll happen is, let me see. I don't think you can insert pictures, but I think you can insert. I know you can insert. Well, I can show you from the paid account, but you can't do it from here. You can add points of interest anywhere along the route, or you can add to queue sheet, which will just say like launch stop or whatever. But points of interest, you can actually type out on the screen. On the keyboard what it is, so you can make it your own. It'll show up as a marker on the map.
No, but that's just with text, like a textual descriptor.
That's just with the text. I don't think you can add pictures in. Almost certain.
Yeah, I can imagine
that. Could be wrong on that.
It's probably hard to do that. There are tools that may work with it. Do they have the video tool with this one, or it's only with Strava? That tool.
No, there's no video on this.
Right. So there's another question before that was, can you show where the mileage markers are? And then sorry? Sorry,
I was just going to show you, you can add images in, they'll show up in the side header when you save your route. It'll show up over here on the screen when someone views a route. So you can drag pictures in, but they won't show up on the map where you took them, unfortunately. So.
Okay. Mileage markers?
Yep, I'll get to that. Let's see. Let's view route here.
And then there's another question which we might save for later, which is you're doing all of this on your computer. Is the interface on an iPhone similar? It's not her interface, but she's not sure if it's because maybe she has a paid account. So the paid account would be a little bit different from this.
Yeah, I can jump into my paid account after, and there's really no difference in the way it looks. It's just some of the options are unlocked.
Yeah, and I'll say this, they keep adding features to the phone where you could actually do a little bit of route planning on the phone, but generally
I
a
can show
phone is
you the
kind of
phone.
but isn't it a bit too tight really to do it? I mean,
Yeah, the editing on the phone it's doable, but it's definitely it's a little trickier. Obviously, a lot trickier than it is on the screen. I mean, it's not bad, but it's nowhere near as you have to have a lot more patience. Let's put it that way. I would do it for just like small little things I wanted to change.
yeah, and while Chris is sharing with you all of his experience over years of doing this, nothing will beat you starting to play with it and try things out. And just remember, you're
No.
not going to kill anyone. You know what I mean? You can make mistakes and learn from them, and then just kind of correct. Undo like he was showing you before. So you're going to do the mileage markers now?
Yep. So you're going to go over here into settings, and my distance markers is one of the options under map overlays. So you can turn that off and on from there. And then we can turn on the bike maps again. So you'll see that everything is highlighted, and we can see what streets we're on and whether they have bike lanes. And we can just see that from here, or we can zoom in and actually do a street view on it. So let's see, let's zoom in a little more so it's easier. So we can see, obviously there's probably not a whole lot of bike lanes out here, but it looks like a pretty safe street. So, what was I going to say? I'm sorry. So we had mileage markers select. What was the other question? Any more questions?
I I think the question about the difference to the phone, but there's also a question of, oh, did you cover how to find routes in different cities? And I know one of the reasons I really like the paid version is when I travel, I'm able to download routes in other places. And also, I mean, I did the Israel ride, some of you may know, and I wanted to drive it before I rode it. So I was able to follow it along in a car and actually see, because they let you download it months in advance.
Yeah, that's a good point. We didn't get to the fun with some of the other options up here. Yeah. So if you want to, this is all fine and good if you want to make routes, but if you just want to find routes that somebody else has already done, like you said, like you're going on vacation to a different city. I mean, you don't know what the routes are, but maybe the bike clubs do. So you can go to find. And what this is going to do is going to allow you to say, so first of all, they have these curated rides. This is all kind of stuff that's near here that it thinks I might like. So you can see who posts them. So there's some posted by the New York Cycle Club. I would trust their judgment. They seem to know what they're doing. Let's see. So they have a state line lookout ride, but you want to see stuff from further away. This is New York stuff. So let's go in here. We want to look in all rides and routes. The options are you can look in your own, or you can look in all, as in the entire library that's on RideWithGPS. So let's stick it to that. And we want to start within 50 miles of New York. So let's narrow that down a little bit. You can narrow it down to as little as 1 mile. So let's say 5, because it'll be nice. Let's say 5 miles of, let's say, Aspen, Colorado.
Is this in your paid account, or this is still in the free account?
No, this is in the free account. I'm trying to do everything through the free account. Colorado. Okay. So we have Aspen, Colorado with 5 miles. And then if we want to put a keyword in, we can say, oh, I don't know, I only want paths, right? Let's say maybe I only want like a bike path. So let's put path in and see what happens, because I don't want to go up the mountains. And then I can choose, so how long do I want? Maybe I only want to go 20 miles this day, so less than 20 miles. And then elevation, any elevation? Yeah, I know better than that. I'm in Aspen, Colorado. So I'm going to go down to less than, maybe, let's say less than 500 feet. All right, so let's keep this a nice, easy ride. We're probably already hurting from the elevation. So we can also narrow it down. We can say upcoming rides, or rides that are like a group event that hasn't happened yet. We can narrow it down to events. This is handy for a good reason. If you're going to a ride, like Alan mentioned, he went to the Israel ride. You can say, I only want to see an event, and I can put in the town and the city and country of my ride. And chances are, I'll get that ride come up, and I don't have to scroll through 100 different rides from that area. So that's a handy one. Routes with cue sheets. If I only want ones with cue sheets, I can set that. Or segments. Segments are, they're like Strava segments. They're sections of a ride or a road, usually about a mile or less, that people will try for the best time on. So you can choose, if you're just looking for those, you can click that button as well. And then all recreation types means you're going to get biking, hiking, and walking, which is fine. Mostly the ones on here are biking. So I hit search. 0 rides. So obviously not going to find anything within my budget here. So let's bring these all the way back out and let's see if we can find a ride. Okay, here we go. All right, this is doable. This is only 720 feet. All right, that's fine. The Rio Grande bike path. Let's see what this one's all about. And what's nice about that is I don't have to waste my time with, oh my goodness, there's like a 32,000-foot climb on this ride. Obviously, that's not what I'm looking for. So I can narrow down just the rides that I'm going to be comfortable with. All right, so looking at this ride, you'll see that there's a finish point, but the start point doesn't have a green arrow. You'll also notice that when we put our pointer here, we happen to be at the bottom in the middle of the ride. So this is an out and back, and you can barely see it. But our start point is kind of hidden behind the finish point because they're just about the same spot. So sometimes you got to look out for that. So this is an out and back, which is nice because we know we're going to end where we started from. So if we park the car or that's where our hotel is, we don't have to worry about getting back. So with that being said, what we do have to do is be careful that we're on the right line. As you can see, one is near the end of the ride and one's near the beginning. Doesn't matter so much except if you're looking for the elevation, or I mean looking for the distance. So you can see it's a nice out and back along a stream and some water, so we know there's not too much elevation. If we wanted to check that elevation, we could use the terrain feature. And now we see the closer together the lines, the steeper the hill. So we can see that along our path, we are following pretty flat because we're following along the same line the whole way. If we crossed any of the lines this way, this looks like a pretty steep cliff right here. So it's good to see. You can use that to kind of judge what the ride is going to be like. Also, I can tell you this ride is probably going to be pretty beautiful because you're going to see these big mountains on either side of you as you come through this nice valley with this, looks like a pretty good sized stream. So maybe it's an awesome ride. Okay, so that is how to find a ride in another place. And you can do the same thing you did with the club ride, the 5BPC ride. You can click on more, copy to my routes.
That stream, by the way, was the Rio Grande River.
Oh, that's why it looks so big.
That's why it's called the Rio Grande. Cool.
Well, in that case, that's pretty awesome, yeah.
Another question for you, just an aside, but maybe you know, someone tried to make a route in Ride with GPS this way and load it into their Lesign GPS, and it works poorly. Turns are skipped or come way after I pass the turning point. Is the problem my GPS, or are there any trick when loading to a device that one must follow?
No, sometimes the GPSs can be a little laggy, but I don't know of any. The only thing you can check is let me go back to my own ride so I can show you. Let's see, we'll go to our home page. We'll go to routes. Let's go to Javits, send to device. It's going to ask you, well, these are for, so this has some options here already. Or you can, if you don't see yours up here, these are the most common ones, obviously. If you don't see yours, you can click other device. Then what's going to ask you is, where are we at? Return. Can we use with a render? Why is it telling me this? All right, hold on a second. Sorry. We're going to go right here, more export options. I'm sorry about that. I automatically get it synced to my Wahoo, so I don't do this part very often. You're going to click on the 3 dots next to send a device, and you're going to hit more export options. Here, you're going to give you, these are just the files. My guess is that this is the one you're going to want right here, the GPS track. Try that. You may have done that already. I don't know, but if it was laggy on that one ride, I would try it a couple others.
Yeah,
It,
he's
it could
saying
be.
that he had to load it to his phone and then from the phone load it to Lezine TCX.
Got it. Okay, so Lindsay there might be a specialty file that it has to go through their thing first. I'm not really familiar with the ins and outs of all of them. So my guess would be if it worked after you used their app for it, they probably want you to use theirs. Let's see. So we did that. Now there's a couple of the buttons we haven't hit. We can go to jump to. Jump to is basically all of our stuff that's in our profile. So we can go to our dashboard, which is going to bring us back to our main page here. We can go to our calendar, and what the calendar does is, as you do rides and you upload the rides into oh, we'll do that next. How to upload a ride? We should do that first. Okay, so from our home page, from our dashboard, we can go to upload. Now, if you have a Garmin Connect or a Garmin Express account, I think those are accounts. I don't have a Garmin, but I'm guessing that's the software or an account. You can enable it to automatically sync. So once it uploads to your Garmin Connect account, it'll upload to RideWithGPS just the same. You can upload the file. So if your GPS is able to export any one of these files, you can upload it to RideWithGPS, or you can just drag it into this box here if it's already on your computer. Or you can manually log a ride. That's if you, let's say you, like I said, forgot to record your ride, or maybe you left your head unit at home. You can add a ride in, and basically all you're doing is saying, I went this far. It gives you the option to add all this stuff in, and it's just you're just manually adding it. It doesn't know any different. It's not going to be able to correct anything. What you put in there is what's going to show up. So if you tell RideWithGPS you rode 1,000,000 miles to the moon, it's going to put that you rode 1,000,000 miles to the moon. Okay, so that is yeah, the uploading. So that's how you upload a file. Now that's when you do upload those files, the calendar will show where they were, any given day in the calendar, and you can kind of use a log. So if you like to ride every Wednesday, as it shows the rides on here, it'll give you a little stat, or I believe a little blurb about it, or you can click on it. It'll bring you to the history page, and then you can kind of keep track of everything you've done. Then we can go to our routes page. This is all the routes that we've made or that we've imported and copied from somebody else. So everything that we have as, either downloaded or made ourselves is here. Rides is, we don't have any rides, but here's how you would link it to your mobile account, because I haven't done this yet. But it'll allow you to record the rides on your mobile app, and then it'll automatically upload it to your account when you finish the ride. And then it'll show up on the calendar. Or you can do the manual upload, or from your head unit, like we did in the upload section. Collections, oh, there you go. So you can create a collection from your different rides. I'm guessing if you have a bunch of rides that are in Manhattan, you can put a Manhattan collection. If you have a bunch of rides that are upstate, whatever. You can keep that way. I'm sure you can find them easier. I've never used that feature. To analyze premium, if you have premium, you can analyze your rides, and it saves your data and tells you, you did this % better than last week and whatever. It's a premium feature, so we're not going to go crazy with it. Friends, this is where your friends are going to be if you have them. Let's see who our friends are. Oh, Alan, we're friends. And I'm friends with myself because this is my actual account. So if I want to see my friends' stuff, this is my friends' activities. So this is what everyone's done, all my friends. Alan took a ride to Long Beach. Chris never puts any names on his RideWithGPS because I use Strava for that. I don't use that for RideWithGPS. But so they're just rides I've done, but you can see where they were, how long they were, how long duration time they were out. You can see everything. Alan went to North County Trail. And if you ever, now that we've seen these, we can click on them. So we can see, let's see, what was this one? We did let's see, let's pick a good ride here that has some, let's see. We'll pick Alan's ride. Oh, wow, look at that. All right. So Alan started here in New Rochelle, and it looks like from the mileage markers, I used that as a clue that he went this way. I could also follow and see where the line is on the terrain. And we can see he hit some hills. So if we wanted to see, like, man, where was this really steep hill, right? We can say, if you look up on the screen, at the very top, you'll see that yellow dot. And I can say, oh, man, the hill started here, and it went all the way to here, all the way. So now I say, okay, where is this? All right, so here it is. Well, we can go to a regular map, and then we can say, what's it look like there?
That hill is the price you pay if you want to see where Dick Van Dyke's house would have been if it existed.
Well, so but you can get an idea of what this hill looks like. Just, you can kind of line up, make the house level there, and you'll see from the sidewalk, that's a pretty good hill. It's pretty long. You can see those all the way down to the end. So you can get an idea of what you're kind of up against. You can use this to look at the route and decide, if this is like, yeah, I love hills, or I'm going to find the way around that, depending on what kind of rider you are. So I use all the tools of Ride with GPS all the time. So that's good to see. And as you zoom in, you'll see you get more and more of the mileage markers. They just kind of omit them as you zoom out.
There's a comment someone made that they didn't need to spend all that money on a bike GPS with this particular program because the phone mount with the paid program of only $6 a month, it probably takes you about 10 years to justify one of those on your device. The only thing I'd say that you need to be aware of with these is the batteries on your phone can drain rather significantly, right? So you need to, I use a Mophie on my phone, and I have several of them to keep the life on the earlier iPhones. So
there's some options on the app that you can turn the screen off unless you're coming up to a turn, and then you can have it just narrate the directions to you with the paid version. I don't know if the screen on and off is with both versions, but if it is, I'd highly recommend using that. That's what kills most of the battery, is that screen staying on all the time. I mean, the GPS uses a good amount as well, but the screen uses at least half of what you're using. So just a little trick if you want to save some battery there. And you can always turn it on manually and see what's happening. If you want, you can just click on the screen and it'll come up. So that, let's see, let me go over real quick. So yeah, that's how you can kind of spot check someone else's route. Also, what you can use, what I use the Street View for is this looks like a busy road. Let's see. Maybe I don't want to be on that road. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, okay, it's not as bad as it looks on the map. On the map, it's hard to tell. It's a little busy, a little bigger road, but you can also look by the Street View, and you can see, if you go up and down a couple times, you'll see that this is a pretty empty street. I don't know exactly when they took these pictures, but it was sometime during the day, so there doesn't seem to be a ton of traffic, and there seems to be a pretty decent median. There's enough room for the cars to get over on the other side. Good. All right. So I use that to spot check anything on the map of a place I'm not familiar with. So I would look and say, what's this bridge look like? Is this going to be one of those narrow bridges I have to walk across, or is it going to be a decent one? All right, there's not really a sidewalk. So you want to look there and say, you can use your judgment, but at least you're prepared for it ahead of time, which is nice. You can also use this to see what's along the route. So if we wanted to eventually stop and get something to eat.
So here's a question for you. Will it work on the mobile devices when they're in airplane mode?
It will. You can download the maps for offline use. Now, here's a caveat to that. That is a paid feature. However, if you download, if you're logged into the club account, you can use that feature as long as you're using one of the rides off the club account. You get that perk. So you won't be able to use it with your own rides if you have a free account, but you'll be able to use it with the club rides. So you can download those for offline use. As long as you have GPS satellite signal, if you're deep in the woods, maybe that won't work. But other than that, you'll be all right. The other thing I was going to show you was finding lunch using Ride with GPS. Now, I've never been here before, but I can tell you, where there's a train station, usually there's at least a little bit of stuff to eat, downtown area, right? So here we can see that there looks like, I mean, obviously not right now, we can't go get something to eat, but this is good to use to see where there's some stuff. So we can make a wild guess that there's probably something around here. So we'll maybe make a little detour in here and see if we could find something later. But I just use it for stuff like that as well. Other than that, any more questions?
Is there verbal navigation on the club rides, or only if you have a paid account do you ever get verbal?
Give me a second. I have it right here. Club mobile features. Let's see. Turn-by-turn navigation on club route. You can use the paid feature of turn-by-turn voice navigation on all club routes. I'm reading this directly off I downloaded the help page about it, which by the way is excellent. The help on here. I'll actually guide you to the answer. It's very easy. Their help is like first class. So you can go, and there's actually a whole section for club accounts right here. Club account. Now we want to go to club member benefits. Turn-by-turn navigation on a club route. It says you can use the paid feature of turn-by-turn navigation on all club routes. It says if you don't have it, download the app, so you don't have to pay in just to use it with any of the club routes. I will say that this is probably one of the best helps of any of these mapping softwares. And you can go, I'll show you right here, route planning, create a route. I mean, it's step by step. It shows you exactly what you have to do, and anything you can hyperlink, and it'll kind of give you a little zoom in more. It shows some animations on how to move things. It's very well done. So if you have any questions, I highly recommend clicking that help up there first, because chances are you're going to figure out whatever it is that you need to figure out. And if you don't, submit a support ticket. You literally will get it back within probably half a day. They're very supportive. So I highly recommend using that feature.
How does the tool do on bathrooms? Has it got any feature that shows you where public bathrooms are?
Unfortunately, I don't think there is on this. I haven't been able to find it unless someone's made a notation like on Google Maps and it comes up as like a pin or a marked location. I don't know of any way that it shows you where the bathrooms are, unfortunately. But submit a support ticket and definitely bring that up. You never know, it could show up in the next revision. All right,
so just a quick time check. We're a few minutes before 8. What else are you going to cover? Oh, you were going to share?
We've hit it. Unless there's any specific questions, I'll go over a couple more things that, if anyone wants to see something, I'll do it.
What about the print the cue sheet website?
Oh, shoot. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. Yeah, let's see if that, okay, so what you can do, we do this first. Okay, there is the cue sheets that these give you. So let's go back to the Javits ride here real quick. Come on, okay. All right, so the cue sheet that this gives you, if you go to print it out, is less than optimal because it's a full page wide, and it's gonna be flopping in the wind. And to see the mileage, you have to keep flopping the page over and over again. So there's kind of a little page you can use to alter this into a usable cue sheet. So the way we do that is up here in the address bar. You'll see there's a section with numbers between two sets of slashes. You'll see there's a number there. So what you're going to do is you're going to highlight just that number. And then you're going to right click and you're going to hit copy. Then what you're going to do is you're going to open up a new window. Hang on a second.
Robo Vivo.
Let me see. I got to go to, I'm running out of windows here. Let's see. Okay. We can go here. We can go to Robo. What was it? Robo Vivo. Hold on. There it is. Yeah, so you go to, it's the word Snuggles with a dot between the L and the E. So, or RoboViva. RoboViva, it is an addition to that you have to click. So this one brings you right to it. So what it's going to do is it's going to give you this front page here that says ridewithgps.com/route/blank. So in this blank, and it says it right here, enter route number, you're going to right click and you're going to hit paste. And nothing's going to happen. Then hit the space bar. And you'll see that you get Viva. So we're going to click on this. And what this does is it basically gives you a PDF and a much more manageable cue sheet. So now we can fold the cue sheet in fours like we usually would. If this was bigger, it would be printed in 4 sections, 1, 2, 3, 4, just so we can fold the cue sheet up and use it the proper way. So then we can just print this just like we would a regular PDF document and go from there. But it's a really handy thing to do because it makes it a much more neat and manageable cue sheet. So shows you exactly everything you need to see, and you can still fold the page up and clip it in properly.
Thank you,
So
Chris.
that's good.
So if nobody has any other questions, I'll just remind you that next week at this time, my bike will be Chris's victim. It's a handlebar, we call it the road bike with the.
We're gonna rewrap the handlebars and show you how to make some adjustments to them if you need to.
All right. So and then do you think you have capacity for another bike, or one's going to be it for next week? Probably, eh? One at a time.
Yeah, we'll just do one.
Okay, so that's it. I want to thank you all, and we'll see you again next week. Also, remember our Friday night at the movies. This week we have someone talking about Ragbri and North Carolina, and then next week we have people who did a trip to Argentina and Chile will be sharing. So we hope to see you there too. I'm going to unmute so you can all cheer. Give them a big hand.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Bye.
Stay safe, everybody. All right, and healthy.
All right.
Take care. Bye.
Plaza.
Bye.
Bye-bye.